Late February in Canada, and behold, the rolling therapist can actually get out for a ride on Carl. Feeling grateful. The air is cold and clean. The sun is shining. Guess it's time to do an episode on gratitude. It's all around me. See? There's a gleeful father running with his giggling child, hanging in his arms like a rag doll. Everyone is feeling spring in the air, and it's glorious. Finding gratitude is pretty easy on a day like this. The challenge is finding gratitude on the dark days, when you feel alone, deflated, and hopeless. Join the rolling therapist on the hunt for gratitude, whether it's a bright, beautiful day like this, or one of the dismal, bleak, and gloomy days we all face at times. Yeah, so gratitude. I get mixed reactions to it when I bring it up in therapy. After all, people don't come to see me because they're feeling warm, fuzzy, and content. So it's not a big surprise that a common response when I bring up gratitude is something like, "Gratitude? For what? Haven't you been listening?" It can seem ludicrous for me to suggest gratitude to people in the midst of suffering. One might even ask why I bother. That's pretty simple, really. Gratitude can be really powerful. There's a substantial body of research indicating gratitude helps decrease anxiety and depression, improve contentment and optimism, boost the immune system, foster better sleep, and lead to better relationship quality. Pretty impressive stuff. But like a lot of things, the question is, how do you make it work? How do you actually find this gratitude stuff? Well, there's an assumption about gratitude which the rolling therapist fell for hook, line, and sinker today. I woke up to a bright, sunny day and thought, this is great. I can go for a ride and chatter on about feeling gratitude. See, the assumption, which is all too common, says that gratitude is felt in relation to pleasant, feel-good experiences. Which it is, of course. I mean, look at this breathtaking vista. Hard to tell there's a sapphire blue lake right now. Looks more like an Antarctic plain, but it's still gorgeous and stimulates a few happy chemicals in the brain. It's not wrong to feel grateful for good things in life. It's just easier. Sometimes gratitude can be easy to find. Sometimes it's brutally hard to find. The rolling therapist is not against the easy kind and does strongly encourage getting outside on a day like this to get it while the getting's good. There are lots of days, for lots of people, when gratitude seems impossible to find. In part, the difficulty finding gratitude has to do with the assumption that gratitude requires pleasurable, exciting, feel-good experiences. If there are none of these, there can be nothing to feel grateful for. Happily, this is wrong. I say happily because if gratitude can only be felt when we have pleasant experiences, then we are at the mercy of the whims of life. When the sun is shining, family members are getting along, friends and neighbors smile and shovel snow off your sidewalk, your tax assessment returns a big chunk of change, and you're nominated for Employee of the Month at work, sure, you feel some gratitude. But life is just as likely to involve cloudy days, family members fighting, friends avoiding you, neighbors scowling, owing a big chunk of change to the tax people, and hating your job. Or worse, in my therapy sessions with people, I hear much worse. So, given that gratitude offers many amazing benefits, that assumption would stink. It would mean that those who are suffering are also cut off from the benefits of gratitude, because they can't access it when there is little to nothing pleasant in their lives. The rolling therapist is here to say, pish posh! In fact, gratitude can be found even when life really sucks. Perhaps that is even when gratitude is the most genuine and powerful. Ooh, that sounded really wise, didn't it? So how the heck do you find gratitude when life is bleak and painful? I can't blame people in this position for feeling skeptical when I bring up gratitude. It can feel like I'm asking them to be fake. Like, oh, now that you mention it, the third toe on my left foot doesn't actually hurt right now. However, this is only a problem when subscribing to the assumption that gratitude requires something nice or fun or otherwise positive feeling. I would really like more people to find gratitude because it has so many benefits and can be very helpful. But I get the hesitation. I mean, chemotherapy can also be helpful. It's just that it can make you barf your guts out and lose your hair. Just because something helps doesn't mean it's easy or convenient. Therein lies the rub, as the saying goes. Which is kind of a bizarre saying, don't you think? Shakespeare or something. I think it's referring to a pebble in your shoe or something like that. Something irritating. And it's pretty irritating to have a smug-sounding therapist asking you to reflect on what you feel grateful for when life seems like an unrelenting wave of pain washing over you. It's rather understandable to experience an impulse to punch the nose on that smug face. With chemotherapy, you do it not because it's going to feel great, but because the benefits outweigh the risks. Gratitude is sort of like that, without the barf, which is something to feel grateful for. Get it? Yeah, okay, I'll stop now. With gratitude, it's more like you decide to hunt for it, even though you're feeling awful and it's super annoying even to try. You might resent looking for gratitude because it seems unfair that you have to work for it. Why do I have to muck around in the mud hoping to come up with some tiny nugget of gratitude while those other people out there have dump trucks full of things to be grateful for without even trying? And you might doubt that you'll succeed in the hunt. It would be really disappointing and sad to go hunting for something, anything, to feel grateful for, and come back empty-handed. Then life would feel even worse. So I do understand why people feel skeptical towards gratitude. Several times this morning I thought to myself, why am I doing this? Gotta put the battery back in the bike, dig all my gear out of storage, shovel snow off the driveway so I can get to the road, and then pull the battery out again when I'm done. At several points I came close to skipping the whole thing. Despite the sun, my fingers and toes are pretty cold. The salt, which is still encrusting the roads, is not healthy for Carl. I'm shortening his lifespan by doing this. But I gotta say, I can feel the benefits of gratitude. Getting out of the house after a long winter lifts my mood. The fresh air and light makes me feel great. It's fun to watch people look at me with surprise. When I'm done, I'll have footage for a video. In fairness, you might be thinking, ooh, Rolling Therapist has it so hard. He had to put up with cold fingers and get a bit of salt on his bike. How can he stand it? Yeah, this is nothing like the suffering I hear about in my office. I'm not trying to compare. I'm just illustrating the fact that finding gratitude can take some time, effort, and discomfort. It ain't always easy, but it is worth it. It's true, though. My hassles to get riding today were pretty insignificant. What about those who have to face much more severe difficulties in the hunt for gratitude? Well, here's something to consider. Humans are quite capable of selectively noticing information. In fact, we have to. There's an enormous volume of information coming at us at all times through the channels of our five senses. This includes information from both the external world and inside our minds and bodies. As I'm riding, a tidal wave of visual, auditory, olfactory, and tactile information deluges me. Inside, a great herd of thoughts, feelings, and sensations also stampede at me. To pay attention to everything going on both inside and around us would be overwhelming. We have to ignore a great deal of it in order to function. I don't know about you, but ignoring a lot of stuff around me has resulted several times in a strange phenomenon when purchasing a vehicle. An especially vivid example of this happened back in the mid-90s. I needed a car, and after doing my research and looking around for a deal, I settled on a Nissan Access. It was a weird car, which I probably liked because it bore a slight resemblance to a Star Trek shuttlecraft. Pretty much all my friends and family gave it, and me, the side eye. And I did get it from a wrecking yard, which seemed like a great idea at the time. The price was fantastic. Of course, right after purchasing it, the engine blew up 10 miles down the road. Replacing it cost me triple what I paid for the car itself. But that's beside the point. I figured that nobody else for hundreds of miles around owned another Access. I had something unique. Until, after a new engine was installed, I started driving it. I was startled to notice other Accesses, passing me here and there on the roads. Where did they come from? Had I started a trend? Was everyone scrambling to buy into this new craze? Hardly. They'd been on the road for years. I had probably passed hundreds of them obliviously. I just hadn't noticed them much before deciding I wanted one. Did you catch that last phrase? When I decided I wanted one, the Access rose above the haze of stuff I filter out day to day, and as the saying goes, was now on my radar. My brain started noticing examples of it. You probably see where I'm going with this. There are things to feel grateful for all around us. Much of it we are simply oblivious to. To notice these things requires interest. Just like my Nissan Access experience, when we decide that we want something, we start to notice it more. Gratitude is no different. That, in my humble opinion, is why most of us take the bright sunny day approach to gratitude. Just like it's super easy to want a bowl of ice cream, it's also easy to find gratitude with feel-good stuff. But even when nothing feels good, if we decide we want the benefits of gratitude, that begins to generate a bit of interest, which in turn orients the brain to noticing some things which before we didn't. I'm not saying everyone is secretly surrounded by fabulous, wonderful, amazing stuff and simply hasn't noticed. I'm saying that even in a life filled with suffering, there are probably a few pleasant things which have eluded notice. They might be very few and very small, however. So let me push this further. Allow me to suggest that it's actually possible to feel grateful towards that which we typically consider negative. Unpleasant and uncomfortable experiences can be among our greatest teachers in life. This isn't all that new or strange an idea. I think most agree with the general idea that we can learn from adversity. What doesn't kill us makes us stronger and all that jazz. Embracing it is another matter. I mean, it sounds kind of deep and philosophical.
Oh, indeed, it is from hardship that we learn the most valuable of life's lessons.
Nice sounding idea, but seriously, who wants to test it out? If you're already suffering, though, you might as well give it a shot. If you can identify something which adversity and pain have taught you, and begin to feel a bit of gratitude for that, then you can also begin to access that list of benefits I mentioned early in the video. That'd be nice. Consider it an experiment. You don't know if it will work or not. Sometimes experiments lead to new discoveries, like a new sustainable source of power. Sometimes experiments fail and create nothing more than a bad smell. But approaching something as an experiment can reduce the pressure, which in turn can reduce worries about disappointment. As for the rolling therapist, he's going to keep enjoying this rare chance to ride around with snow still on the ground. Based on this whole find gratitude in adversity thing, I guess I'll need to do another gratitude video eventually, on a dark, rainy day when I'm running out of gas in the middle of nowhere, or something like that. Why did I say that? Now I might have to do it.